consistency. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Code Enforcement and Corrections Committee meeting. The date today is, well, my phone's going to die on me as soon as I say that. June 15th. We're halfway through the month. Thank you. And present today are Councilman Hockett and Councilman Schramm, Public Safety Commissioner Justin Day, Code Enforcement Officer Chelsea Luce, and Jail Administrator Lori Kalenda, along with City Attorney Mr. Jensen and City Finance Officer Chandra Phillips. The agenda today we'll start with corrections. We'll take a look at daily averages, some other things that have been going on at corrections, and then we will turn the floor over to Chelsea and corrections, or code enforcement. Floor is yours, Lori.
Okay, good morning. Today we have 144, for the month 149, and for the year 159. We have interviews scheduled for this week. We still have 3 openings at the jail. DT, Direct Technologies, is working on their final punch list for the project down at the Law Enforcement Center. The control room has moved to their new location. They've been there exactly 1 week. So they're still working out some bugs there, and it's a little bit different arrangement. They've never ever sat in an environment like this, so it's kind of a learning curve for us too. But so far things are working well. Trinity has taken over the kitchen. They have been there just a little over a week. Still working out a few things, working with our new kitchen staff and the helpers in the kitchen. That's kind of a learning curve for us too, but seems to be going okay so far. Any questions on those? So when we were upgrading our, with Direct Technologies and getting our new equipment down there, we need to address our backup system for the jail, our UPSs. We're at max load on almost all of our UPSs down there, so this is kind of an emergent situation we're in right now. We need to add some more for our backup. Right now there's an emergent part of it, and then we'll put a Band-Aid on it for now, and then we will address the rest of our fix to this in our 2024 budget. What we know right now is it's going to be over, what we need to add to our current UPSs is it's going to be over $4,000, so we are working on the bid process right now. We do have a solution to maybe getting this done this year. In our equipment line, if you have our budget in front of you, it's about halfway down. It's budgeted $4241. There's an equipment line of $15,000. That was for originally scheduled for a cage for the red van. At this time, I don't know if we would get it done. The person that we had budgeted this through and was planning on getting this done, I don't know if we'll be able to get it done this year. We would address the van issue in our 2024 budget again to get a cage in there. We can't put it on the road without a cage. And if we could use that line item to fix our UPS backup system right now for the jail, that would be part of our solution.
My question would be the cost of
Do you
the.
see it?
No, I
was-
was just
what's-
gonna
I
ask
don't
her,
see a
but
What's
15,000.
what's the line item number, Lori?
It's 4241. It was added to our budget adjustments. There's a big space in between our budget. You'll see a whole bunch of lines. It's right underneath the roof.
Go to the second.
4241, Lori, is where they all start.
4340.
Yeah.
Okay, second one, okay. 4343.
Okay, 4340. It's equipment, and then it's got some descriptions underneath. It says, it's got the 1/1/2023 date, Brad. Your thumb is right by it.
Yeah.
4340, okay. It's in its own column, Joe.
Yeah, it sits alone. So the question I would have is the cost of the UPSs in the project. Is this something that's going to go to quote, or is this proprietary?
4,000, she
It's gonna go
said.
to quote.
We're working the process right now. We're getting 3 quotes right now for them.
And what do you think the final cost is going to be on that, on those UPSs?
We're gonna go with the most
Affordable.
advantageous quote,
Where do you project?
less than 10.
Less than 10.
10,000,
Yeah.
yes.
It's appropriated. You can move to fix this solution. You just have to watch your bottom line and make sure that
Yeah.
you're managing the fact that the cage is not going to be what's coming out of equipment later this year, and you're going to run the UPSs. As long as you have that quote sheet with those quotes.
Well, it became very evident how emergent it was with an incident, so that's,
Earlier this week, we took a, what do I want to say? A tour after streets and sanitation of one of the departments. And if council would like to go down, last week after the police and 911 meeting, I went down and looked, and it was explained to me quite extensively. And then we also had a networker come in, and he was explaining some stuff that he'd saw. During the time that I was there, there was a power interruption. A UPS is an uninterrupted power supply for the public, and there was actually an incident where it went down for, I felt like it was 10 minutes. I was told it was under 2, but anytime there's interrupted power supply in a correctional facility, it feels a lot longer.
It seems like an hour.
Yeah, it does. Probably for you guys an hour, for me 10 minutes, and it's something that needs to be addressed. It wasn't, we had a meeting yesterday
Yes.
with DT, and we're doing a project closeout. And this project is 90% complete. They're working on the punch list. It came up during this meeting that the UPSs were not part of or considered part of this project. Unfortunately, we probably should have looked at that, but it was an oversight. It's something we can address through this budget right now. I'd encourage you to get it done, get the quotes, make sure council can see you've got the 3 quotes and that you're going with the best price and fix those
we have a handy dandy
UPSs.
little sheet that we plan on filling out that will give council all numbers and.
So do we
where
have
want.
everything that's electric in the jail on UPS?
No.
That is
most
what we're
everything.
working
Because my,
Yeah.
my question is, isn't there like critical things that ought to be?
Those all are.
Those
And
are-
some
Everything
things
critical.
don't need to be, but it's nice to have?
Yeah. and
Is that
basically that's
a
what
fair
we're-
way to put that?
That's what we're doing
Because
now.
do we not have a generator that if everything goes down, it comes on?
Yes.
And this UPS is just for that particular item that's plugged into it?
Well, the way UPSs work, we kind of got a crash course in how all this stuff works.
Yep.
Everything in our tech room is all on UPSs. So our entire tech room
And
has
should be, yep.
battery backup.
Yep.
In the event, because the generator should come on, yes. But we're talking about mechanical things. And that's why the generator runs self-tests every 2 weeks, and so that we make sure we know something's going on.
Yep.
But we've had incidents before where something didn't quite work as it should. And so that's where this UPS comes in, because it buys us time to, okay, go check what happened. So then we can run through our processes, which are in standard operating procedures down there. If we have a failure for something to come on, we go right into a protocol and we start getting everything checked so we can get all that stuff back on and we don't lose anything in the jail. So that's where this is. Yes, there are certain things, just as you described, that would be nice, but not mandatory it be on UPS backup. Those things are not currently. What this is not to put those things, this isn't where we're at yet on this. This is, we ended up, somehow, the UPS in the transition, a couple of them got overloaded. And so if stuff gets overloaded, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So we've since had the right people come in, they've tried to disperse that load a little bit, but we still see that we have a need there, because even with dispersing that load, we're maxing a lot of that stuff out. So we are right on the cusp. Should work, but with this, we know it will. And so this is why we say this is the Band-Aid right now. We are ordering only what we need to get us safely by and into the 2024 budget season, and then look and see what else we may need to add to that at that point.
So and only because I went through this with Ramada, do we have like all the lights and all the door locks and everything on the UPS?
The lights, that's not something you can run there. We have emergency lighting in that case, which is
Which
all
is
in
the
its own
generator.
battery
Yeah, so you don't
backup.
have the lights on your UPS?
We have battery backup lights, but these are not hooked up to these.
Not on
Yeah,
the. and-
yeah, not on these.
And that's
They're-
my point, is that we have the things that we need to have, like the door locks,
Oh, yeah,
things like that.
yep.
But we don't necessarily have the things that we don't need to have
Yes.
on the UPS.
Yes.
I know that it'd be nice to have the whole building stay lit up.
Well, that's where the generator comes in.
That's what
As
the
long as
generator-
everything works,
I
we
agree.
have that.
I agree. I'm just making sure that that's what we're doing here, rather than trying to have the whole building on it.
No, because
Just
that's
essential.
what these UPSs are, Brad, that would make zero sense to try to have the entire building run on UPSs.
That's why I asked the
'Cause
question,
they're-
to make sure where we
Yeah.
were.
Because these are like boxes like this, and you couldn't put enough of them in to run an entire building. That's where the generator has to play that part.
We should clarify one thing, I think, because at least to some people that are watching or listening here, it may not be abundantly clear. Most of the time when a UPS comes into play, as far as kicking in to do its thing, the whole building is not going down. So your generator's not coming on.
Yeah,
Right.
But the UPS needs to come on for this circuit here because of these computers, door controls, whatever.
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Whether that be a power surge
Surge.
or a slight loss of power or a total loss of power, either way, that's where these UPSs kick in to protect and regulate the power going to these devices.
Because even the UPS should come on in that 3 to 5 seconds it takes the generator to start.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
And it's actually less than that even. It's immediate. These things kick on. If there's any fluctuation in power, these UPSs kick on and then can kind of regulate it out. It can throttle it down if it's a surge, or it can increase if it's a loss.
I'll be interested in seeing the quotes. Yeah. Make it happen.
Then we can decide what to do about it.
Make it happen. Lori, in your numbers, your breakdown, you broke down, do you have the breakdown between Marshall and county?
Between what?
Marshall and counties?
No, I did not break that down.
That's fine. I was just curious. That's been given in the past and was curious.
Seems that these are lower numbers than we normally have. Is this a off-season for crime, or what's the deal?
We got nailed with a massive haul out.
Yeah, we've had-
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember seeing 160s to 163,
Yeah.
and this seems like a significant
Yeah.
difference.
Because if you look at the dailies, we were up there for like, I don't know, the first week of June, between that 150 and 160 mark, and then got absolutely nailed on an airlift. So now it's trying to backfill back up,
We
so.
had two right back to back. We
Yeah.
had two airlifts right back to back.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we should be calling New York City and say, "Hey, anybody you want to house?"
No.
Anything else?
No, I do not.
The
You guys-
UPSs are the big thing. Move forward with their quotes and the purchase and get that done. Turn it over to Chelsea for this week.
And I always remember something after I talk to Justin about making the agenda, so I will have one more item, but, code enforcement, since our snow finally melted and we can see things going on, just been hitting quadrant inspections, that sort of deal. Had 115 courtesy notices sent, not just for weeds and tall grass, that was the total, of everything that I have come across thus far. Of those 115, I believe there was 14 lawns mowed by our city guys, and 6 of them are addresses that either are coming up for tax deed with the county or we don't have any contact info. So out of 115 is a pretty good turnaround. Taken several calls, people not understanding courtesy notices, that sort of deal. But haven't had any major issues, and like I said, our lawn mowing crew really got it done last week, and there's a lot of stuff that looks good, so they spend a lot of time fixing some major areas. Other than that, I did finally get corrections back from District 3 on our comprehensive plan. Took it to my P&Z committee on Monday. There was one more correction that we had to make on water rates, just because it's gone up since we last sent it to Eric. So I need to get with Chandra just to make sure that we have everything we need to do to take it to city council. Might be able to get it Monday, might have to wait a couple weeks to the next one, so just depending on.
On water rates, you say?
Yep, so what was listed in the comprehensive plan, for water rates started at $14.50, we're now up to $19.50, and that's just because this has taken several years to get done and get pushed out, so.
In a comprehensive plan, does that make sense to put rates that can change in a day or in a month? I mean, how many times do we have to read?
It's part of a snapshot. Some of the
Oh, okay.
comprehensive plan is based on a snapshot.
Okay.
At the time.
Yeah, so there's
Because
population.
my only
and-
point is by putting rates in there, we force ourselves to pay for another one. You know.
We would have to anyway, Brad, with
Okay.
population changes
Yeah.
and everything
Okay.
else. So as we stay up to date on this,
Yep,
it
okay.
won't be near as long in between them. So, I mean, there is always an element of changing information from
Okay.
plan to plan.
Yeah, there's how many kids are in the elementary school listed, all sorts of stuff like
Okay.
that. So I would say there's probably a lot of things that'll definitely change in 6 months, let alone 3-5 years, however long we choose to do between these. So like I said, just working on getting that pushed to city council, so.
Do you recall, because I don't, when was the last time the comprehensive plan was updated?
Oh, my God.
2008 or 12?
I thought 8.
I think everything that was in there was 2008.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I got 2008 in my head.
So,
So we're really behind on it.
and to my understanding, Cody's been working on it for a couple of years to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
so-
Yep.
so.
Since he-
My committee is glad to have it done. So,
I do think we have to advertise that it'll be.
Yeah, Yep, there has to be a public.
It won't be this Monday.
Okay.
No.
So we're, like I said, just working on getting that pushed to city council.
Great.
Have you noticed, are we, city, keeping up on our mowing and weed control? Have you sent
As
us
far
any
as city
letters?
properties,
Yeah.
yes.
She just told us 115.
No, that's not what
means
she's, that's not
what
the
the city
question.
owns.
Yeah.
City-owned properties is
Oh,
the,
city, oh.
Yes.
Yeah, city-owned property is what I'm concerned with.
From what I can tell, yes. County, I did have to make a phone call, so.
Good.
that was gonna be my question. That's a good question, because that's the elephant in the room. How dare you send me a courtesy notice if you're not?
Take it easy on the city, man. They're busy.
Council, floor is yours. Other questions you may have? Okay, hearing none. Chandra and I have went through all the revenues for each of the departments, including the general fund. We have not looked at expenses as a whole. I've got Chandra looking at personal services, insurance, OASI, debt obligations, interest obligations on debt. We'll have their end pretty much, I think, wrapped up here next week. I will start distributing projected revenues. Now, we projected corrections revenues. Obviously, you guys will take a look at that and dive in and take a look and say, we think we're gonna do better here. This might be a stretch, but you've done that in the past. Justin, you asked if you could come get those from me. I will actually just send those in a PDF to you guys, what we've projected. I'm gonna send Troy his. I will send those same projections to council to give you guys a comparison to start looking at. The window between now and publication of our budget for 2024 is now down to 10 weeks. We are way behind. I will place that on record. Last year, Joe, you remember we had been diving in way harder than this, and you guys know that also. Even though we have not addressed it in these committees, I ask you to start taking a long look at your expenses and putting those together, what you're gonna have for the next year, because that will be my focus over the next 10 weeks. And we'll pull back from operational to financial, looking at revenues, future expenses. What do we need to get done? Sounds like we have a project here, a UPS upgrade. That has to be the focus. 10 weeks until we go to the public with that budget.
And
My assumption was that we were gonna have a more mild budget season this year because we're not really attacking it like we did last year. My hope was that things will be a little bit sweeter. Mr. Mayor, you're looking confused.
No,
Wrong assumption there.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
The fact that we're behind doesn't mean that they aren't gearing up for an aggressive 2024 on the expenses. We have to give you the revenues to see, do those expenses fit into the revenues? Those have been done for 2 weeks. And as council, I would hope that you would start asking these guys for next year's expenses, looking to the future.
And just as a comment, just so, there's a lot of work that gets done on these budgets throughout the year. As we are seeing where we are currently and then trying to project for that next year. So all these department heads have really done a phenomenal job of kind of working through budget season. It seems like it's this last big push, but there's been a lot of work done on the front end throughout this current budget season to kind of prepare for that. So in a sense, it's a little easier on our side, but yeah, no, you're gonna get.
It's not
nailed.
easier on your side.
Continuing evaluation throughout the year from your department managers.
Yep.
As far as budget constraints, budget looks, where things are at. I would think it would be a constant analysis.
It is.
Throughout the year, so.
My worry is, for council, you have 10 weeks to absorb all the numbers that are gonna be thrown at you and decipher through wants versus needs, and it makes for tough decisions when we get to the retreat. That's why I'm gonna ask you guys to start producing those numbers quickly for council so they can start going through them.
So I see in our municipal jail, we have interest income of almost $9,000. On what principle is that based on?
So at the beginning of the year, you have unappropriated cash on hand.
It's based off of how much cash is in there each month. So we have it separated in your financial statement, how much money the jail has in there, in their department. Does that mean that's unappropriated cash? No, that's their spending money too. So
No.
each
So
month,
some of that money's also in that savings account?
it's the checking account, our checking account.
Our interest
Is
bearing.
interest bearing? Okay.
Yes. So each fund, about 6 years ago, we changed this. It used to be that we just kind of, you get some, you get some, you get some. And not everybody got some. Now we literally base it off of what your ending balance was to know how much of that interest that the entire city got is for. That's in that checking account. Obviously,
But this is only for the corrections money?
that's correct.
Okay.
Our interest rates have gone tripled, doubled, quadrupled some months in the last couple months.
Yep.
It's been all yes.
Very good.
The first time it went over $10,000 in 1 month, she goes, "Is this for real?" It is. So it's paying off right now that we've got some good money sitting in there. Your
Brad,
outlay
I'm
money for
sure-
water sewer is helping too.
I'm sure you know, Brad, but Jody kind of went to war with the Department of Legislative Audit with our jail very early on, and he actually, our jail is no longer in our general fund. He got that to where we got to make this its own separate enterprise now, so we
Yeah.
can literally track everything in and everything out, which I think was kind of difficult when it was all under general fund. I mean, I think it was tracked, I'm not saying that, but now we have a much clearer picture of what this
Having
facility.
it as an enterprise.
As an
I understand
enterprise.
that.
Yep.
And so my next question is, did we in fact do the $700,000 loan, if you will?
Not yet.
You have not authorized that transfer yet.
Okay,
So
One
they're
of-
still making the interest off of it.
I'm sorry?
They're still making the interest off of it at this point in time.
Okay,
One of the reasons we've,
because we're waiting on the grant to happen?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I didn't know what the status was of that COVID money, so.
It'll be a full council motion to transfer it. Yes, it's within your budget, but ultimately when you move from one account to another, same
Yep.
at the end of the year when you make.
And we
that
have not yet
transfer,
done that.
You have not.
Don't
done that.
expect me to remember it.
Anybody that would like to go to corrections today and take a look at the tech room and the UPSs, there's 25 minutes. Joe, you'd like to? Brad?
You go ahead, Joe. It's too hard for me
I was going
get
to say
around.
Brad, okay.
It's just too hard. So
We will make that same opportunity available in the future
Yeah.
for you to get down once
Yeah.
you're more mobile.
At this point, it's piggyback, so.
Huh.
I said
We
if you
can
need me
piggyback
to,
you.
you can jump on.
Yeah, right.
All right. We may both be using one of those at the end,
Not,
huh?
not going.
Yeah.